Enlightened Horizon. Well, first off, we spawn on the horizontal side of the map, the side of the map. This is where his base is, mine base is. Closing off this is probably important. He's playing purple, I bet you it's Byzantine. So, there are the, what do you call it? The secret sites are up here, they're all in a cluster. There is a trading post. It's full of wolves, so there's a wolf den here. Let's see what we get. Golden Horde. Oh, damn. Okay.
Anonum.
Oh no.
He. Anonum. Teman.
Nu depression.
Mingüçi.
Takip.
Buyruk.
Anuk. Kiterim.
Munda. Nü.
İle. Mingüç. Buyur. Anuk. Terkin. Arayın. Yolun yorukım. Buyruk. At minerim. Beklerim.
Beklerim.
Gezek. Emet. Mingüçi. Arayın. Yolun yorukım. Anuk. Buyruk. Doğru soru. Buyruk. Evet. Arayın. Buyruk. Evet. Anuk. Evet.
Buyur.
Gezek. Munda. Gel. No. Mingüçi. İle.
Buyur.
Gezek. At minerim. Kiterim. Mingüç. Arayın. Anuk. Sakin. Eşit. Tamam. Anunum. Hemen.
Eşit.
Buyurun. Kiterim.
Uluşinler. Eşitin. Beklerim.
Mingüç. Beklerim. Anuk. At minerim. Buyruk. Arayın. Gezek. Evet. Anuk. Terkin. Arayın. İler. Eşit.
Tamam.
Yola gideriz. Anunu.
Ye.
Buyurun. Yolun yürüsün. Anunu. Ne? Mingüç. Evet. Anam. Kes. Gezek.
Haray. Buyruk.
Buyruk. Min güç.
Ne al?
Eşit. Ne al?
Anuk.
Munda. İlgeriler.
Haray.
Anunu.
Tamam.
Gezek. At minerim. Anuk.
Sevmedim.
Buyruk tek.
İş mi kılacak?
Otun ek.
Evet. Nürkerek.
Min gücü hazır. Mitamer. Gezek hazır. Buyruk nedir? At veririm. Buyur. Buyur. Atım ilgeri serip.
Mülk.
Koruşa hazır.
İşe hazırım.
Buyruk nedir? Tiz kiterim. Anuk.
Mehmet selam.
İş bizi bekler.
Et sıkıldı.
Anuk. Kiter. Buyur. Min gücü hazır.
İş bizi bekler.
İşe hazır. Koruşurum.
Kamu anıt olun.
Mitaner. Gezek hazır. Mitaner. Mitaner. Buyur. Buyruk olursun.
Bura varım. Evet anlaştırın.
Göbek yakın. Buyur. Yer evrülü. Gezek hazır.
İş mi kılacaksın? Eve giderim.
Oluşa hazırım.
İşe hazırım.
İş mi kılacaksın?
Buyur.
Nürkerek.
Buyruk. Haray. Ben hazırım.
Karındaşlar ey müminler, hareketi
Buyruk bir.
Min gücü hazır.
Nükere.
Bura varım. Evet selam.
İşe hazırım. İşe başla. Oluşa hazırım.
Sipahi hazır.
Bura var.
Koruşa hazır.
İş bizi bekler.
Sıkı tezkirik hemen.
Buyruk nedir? Tiz kiterim. Erin kılıyor. Bura ılıkarım. Anam. Amaçla kılınırım. Buyur anlaştırım. Min gücü hazır.
Emrin
İş bizi bekler.
eşitim.
Eşitin.
Siz.
cevval olun karındaşlarım.
Gezek hazır. Yakın yakın.
Kamu anı ilger.
Ben gerekiyim. Olur. Buyruk nedir?
Hazır.
Evet selam.
Buyruk. Eşit. Eşit yetsikten.
Okçu ha
Bilgi.
karındaşlarım.
Çitelim. Bilgi.
Karındaşlarım.
Oluşa iş.
İş bizi bekler. Kamu
Zengin kılın. Tiz.
Emret, selam. Andı kiter. İş mi kılacak? Yolun.
İş mi kılacaksın?
Buyurun.
Eşitin bitik. Tebreşin eri. Eşit. Buyruk senin.
Buyruk nedir?
Bilgi. Buyruk ileri. Okçularlarım. Olmaz.
Okçular, çarp hazır.
Agır olur. Derler. Buyruk senin. Eşitin andı. Çapıtayım. Mansa.
Buyur. Buyruk senin. Yerin kötü.
Eşit.
İşe hazır.
Doğruşa hazır.
Öldür. Sipahi hazır. Buyruk eşitir. Sipahi hazır. Öldür. Anutus. Titreşin erin. Agır olur. Ha sipahi. Oluyor.
Vura bak. Kılarım. İşe hazırım. Otun mu evdir?
Nükerek. İşe hazır.
Eşit. Emret.
Küdezgilik mansa.
İş mi kılacak? Buyruk kelir. İlgeri.
Buyruk derlendik.
Bin gücü hazır. At veririm. Buyruk nedir? Kılıyorum.
Bilgi, olur. Buyruk senin. İş bizi bekler. Yaktırı başlar.
Bilgi. Tiz. Eşitin bitçitelim.
Eşit.
Buyruk kel.
Çitelim. Hazır olun.
Derlendik.
Mehmet Kılar. Çekil.
Sipahi hazır.
Hansa.
Agır olur.
Derlendik. Eşitin. Körürüm Emet.
Sipahi hazır olur. Kitelim. Anutus.
Anıtul. Emet.
Derlendik.
İş bizi bekler.
Oğuşak hazır. Tornü kerek.
Derlendik. Sipahi hazır.
Güdezgil eşitirim.
Agır olur. Buyruk bir.
Yakıldı. Sevnedim.
Doğruşa hazır.
Kılarlar. Olmaz.
İş mi
Nükerek.
kılacak?
Aray sipahi hazır. Buyruk.
Eşitim bitik. Okçu han.
Anutus. De.
Karındaşlar hep ve hem bu mekana müdezgil andı.
Eşit. Anlaştık ya.
Anıt kılın. Mehter hazır. Emel selam.
Buyruk hazır.
Biz gerekiyiz. At veririm. Min gücü hazır.
Buyruk.
Gezek hazır.
Bilgil. Eşit çap terim. Okçular. Okçular. Mansa.
Nitan yok.
Buyruk nedir?
En. Ben yoruma baş.
Buyruk bir. Buyruk kelim. Kamu bodun eşitsin.
Güdezgil kılın.
Min gücü hazır.
Olur.
İş bizi bekler. İş bura varım. Yaptırı başlarım. Nükerek.
Eşitim bitik.
Haray. Anutus.
Okçular. Aslanki geldi.
Egrisi tulum. Çın ok.
Bilgil.
Şahı Anutol'un bitik.
Nitan hazır.
Okçular. Hazır. Cevvali. Ultrawide. Eşit.
maruz kaldık.
Yesek hazır.
Agresif.
Bilgil.
Cevval olun karındaşlarım.
Agresif olup
Dengil kılın. Ansa.
Kiter.
Eşit. Tefreşin erin. Eşitin bitik.
Anutus. Agresif olup Anutus. Sipahi. Agresif olup. Agresif olup.
Okçular. Mehter hazır. Kemon.
Buyruk. Haray. Sipahi hazır.
Ansa.
Agresif olup hazır.
Hazır olun. Hazır olun. Hazır.
Derler. Anutus.
Derlendik.
Anlaştık.
Mehter.
Agresif olup. Anutus. Agresif olup.
Anıtul. Okçular.
Karındaşlarım.
Derler.
Anıtul.
Agresif olup hazır. Anutus. Buyruk sipahi hazır.
İşe hazırım.
Buyruk kes. Parayla. Kılarım.
Hazır olun, hazır olun. Anutus. Oğlum emrinizde. Agresif tulum derlendi. Anutus sipahi hazır olun. Sipahi yola çık. Sipahi ki. Yahu Merdan bozuk. Derlendi. Haklısın. Buyruk bey.
Bura varım.
İş bizi bekler.
İş mi kılacaksın?
Evet, kılacağım.
Allah'ın olun. İş bizi bekler.
This is the map layout. Our starting resources are 2 stones, 2 gold, and 3 food sources with 2 wood. So this is probably enough to last until maybe Castle Age. Castle Age beyond, I would say. To get more gold, you would have to move out onto the map. So this map is a very interesting map. The distances between you and your opponent is very close, so rushing is quite nice. However, there is a cliff where you can close off quite easily with a wall. If you close off this entrance, your troops are required to go into here and then around. I believe this distance is probably kind of similar to going across the map. Both opponents can in fact turtle and keep themselves safe from this direction, but at one point in the game you're going to need to move out into the map for resources. The way the resources are spread out is that pretty much everything is on this side. There are points of interest here on this map. As you can see, there's several. This one gives you 15 wood, food, and I believe stone or gold. Actually, let's check. Okay. It's 15 wood, 15 food, and 15 gold. This point of interest here gives you vision, so that if you capture this, you can see your opponent moving in on your base. This map has 2 trading posts that's away from your base. It's actually quite a nice trading map. If you build a trade post here and you go over there, the distance here is quite okay for trading and it's quite easy to set up. However, you should note that there is a wolf den here and there are so many wolves, in like ridiculous amount. And with that many wolves, you do need military to clear out this wolf den. Otherwise, your traders can't get through. I've tried trading before in this map, and if you don't clear this wolf den, your traders just die. So you do need to invest some military from your base to clear out this trade post. There is a kind of safe gold in the corners of each map for each player. As you can see, the way the wood line spawns and the cliff, you can in fact close this off quite easily. Taking this gold is probably a good idea later on. You'll be relatively safe, and by that point in the game, you are hoping to have this kind of map control of the game. There is a Ronin point of interest here. I believe these spawn samurais or something every 5. It starts spawning after 5 minutes. I honestly have no idea how useful these guys are. I would imagine it makes taking sacred sites easier because let's say they place a monk on there, you just get a Ronin out to harass them and deny the sacred site. The relics spawn around the middle of the map, so it's a bit of a back and forth fight for these relics if you were to go for them. If you play the long game on this map, you kind of come out this way, control the middle of the map, and your opponent does the same. I opened the game with a standard 1-3-1-1 build of the Ottoman. 1 to stone, 1 to gold, and 3 to wood, 1 to food. Then you rarely TC to cheap. That's really all you do. And then at one point when you have enough wood, you build a military school. And then you gather more wood to build your second military school when you age up, and a house. My opponent makes a very cool decision here to take one villager and take the point of interest. I would say there's probably a reason for doing this. It's probably quite good that you do this, because it's essentially free resources. But however, because he's not using this villager to gather from the town center, or rather gather the cheap under the town center, I'm not sure if this pays off. Having 15 wood, 15 food, 15 gold, that's around 45 resources per minute, which is equivalent to one villager gathering something, because food gathers around 37 per minute, gold is like 40 or 37, something like that. So it's around 35 to 40 at base level with no upgrades. I'm unsure on the math if this works out, sacrificing one villager to take the point of interest instead of gathering the cheap. A higher level player might know this, but I'm gonna assume it's probably good and that's why he's doing it. My military school comes out. I decided to build it this way, forward, well, sorry, at the back. Because looking at the map, I don't feel like I had enough space. If I build it here, where would the blacksmith go, right? You could place it here, and then you have buildings here, but then you're blocked by this town center. If you place your military building here, then it's kind of like this entire area. It's way too narrow, and for Ottomans, I feel like if you want to make or use full advantage of your blacksmith, you kind of need a good square area. And I know that this stone will probably be cleared later on. That's why I decided to build the military school out this way. And I know this wood line as well is gonna disappear at one point. Taking a look at our scouting pattern, what we have here is an interesting one. So our opponent went this way and then around here. Whereas, what did I do? I went sort of this way and then back around. So looking at the sheep count, we can see that I won by 3 sheep so far. And I feel like I kind of got lucky with the scouting. As you can see, I didn't bother even scouting my opponent's base. He's playing Golden Horde. They're not known for spear rushes. I'm not sure if they can do spear rush that effectively. The Ottomans are probably more equipped for a spear rush, as the barracks cost 90 wood. And you have a military school that comes out relatively quickly, or not too quickly. It comes out in the middle of Dark Age. So that's why I didn't bother just scouting him out. I just thought, okay, whatever he's doing, we'll go see in Feudal Age. Dark Age rush, not expected. When the military school finishes and the spearman comes out, I saw that he had captured this point of interest, the merchant camp. I immediately went to decap it because I knew that there was essentially nothing he could really do right now to contest this. and he's getting free resources. So I think it's a good idea that I just take this out, you know, deny him the resources. The other spearman goes to capture the abandoned outpost so that I can see into his base. Or not see into his base directly, but more like just see this area and see him coming. My opponent reaches Feudal Age, as you can see. So once he's reached Feudal Age, I decide to go see his base and see what his plan is. My scout comes in. At this point, I see wood. So in my mind, that could be two things. It could be a second TC, or it could be military. My thought process at the time was that it's going to be military given how close he is to my base. If I was a Golden Horde player and I played on this kind of map, I would definitely go for some sort of rush. This map just seems like a very good rush map if you can get it off. But I don't know what the timings of Golden Hordes are. I don't know how quickly they can get units out and how strong their Feudal Age rushes are. That's something to be learned later on. My scout sneaks around. I see where his OVO is, so I know that this is something I want to attack. As my scout goes across, I see the town center come up, and a thought flashed through my mind. I remember the comment on YouTube. Optimus Crime had commented earlier and gave me some advice. When going 1 TC and you see the opponent going 2 TC, you have to act fast or you lose the window where he is weaker than you because he just spent 1,000 resources building a TC. My mind started spinning. My brain cells are finally working. Understanding the 2 TC timing, I decided, alright, I'm just gonna full send it. I'm gonna send military units over to his base. That's what I'm gonna do. There is a bit of miss macro here. I've got too many villagers on food, with food that I don't quite need this much of. These villagers should have been on wood, maybe 5 or 6, so that as soon as I get the age up, I can start pumping out military buildings. A small fight breaks out on the point of interest. I would like to make a note here that having that one spearman fight the Khan dropped him to half health. So 2 spearmen would have been enough to kill him. I stationed troop on this side. The idea was that I was just going to look into his base a little bit, though I think I could have stayed maybe around here. If we have a look at the TC range, it's a bit hard to see, but it's around here. So maybe if I stood here, I could have seen more into his base and see what he's doing. What's interesting about this game is that my opponent opted to go for a fortified outpost just by itself. Golden Horde can build walls, so I think what he should have done was close off this area first. I feel like on Enlightened Horizon, this wall is kind of mandatory. My opponent goes for an outpost and also arrow slits. So I'm guessing he's okay with just defending that way rather than a full-on wall. I built a stable, archery range, and then another stable. I was just planning to get out more Sipahis than archers. My opponent goes for early pastures. If you're a Golden Horde player, and I think you know who you are, please do tell me how viable Stockyard is. I'm not sure how early you should build this. It's probably very strong because you're gathering from... What are you gathering from? Sheep. So they're cheap. So they're better than berries, that's for sure. Better than farms. But a stockyard is 250 wood. Let me have a think about this. A farm is 75 wood, right? A stockyard is 250 wood. There's 4 villagers that can gather from a stockyard. And a farm, if you would have 4 of them, plus a mill, would be 350 wood for the same amount of food. But you have to remember that farms do probably gather slower than sheep at this stage in the game. So I think an early stockyard might actually be quite worth. I feel like my opponent is very greedy this game. If you have a look at his macro split, he's got 18 on food, right? And then he's got 17 on wood. So what can he do with these resources? Well, the food is needed for Castle Age, military units, and also villagers because he's got 2 TCs. Okay, makes sense. The wood, I guess he's doing a stockyard boom. I didn't know that was a strategy, but here we are. Maybe it's like Malian cow booms, you know? I don't know. But he's also got 5 on gold. What is he gonna use the gold for, I wonder? Is it to age up the castle? Or is it for military upgrades? I don't yet see any military in his base. Oh no, I do. I see there is an archery range that came out at 9 minutes. And it kind of makes me wonder, what exactly is his plan here? He went 2 TC, and then he goes into a stockyard farm boom. And then he goes for possibly military or a castle. Castle Age, I mean. That's somewhere along this line. I feel like this is really greedy. You're going for all these 3 things, and there's only so many military units coming out. In fact, he hasn't built any military units, and I have 18 units. Some here, some are somewhere else, somewhere they're coming, but it feels a bit too greedy to be doing this. And maybe it's the structure of the map, maybe the fact that he can defend this off and then maybe defend this. That's why he's chosen to go very greedy on his build. A fight breaks out on the point of interest. I push away his troop. Knowing that my archers can't really catch these horses, I use them to capture the site. Now my horses come around to find some damage. I spot the double archery ranges, which signaled to me that building Sipahis was a good idea. I had opened double stables. He had opened double archery ranges. I'm not sure if he saw my stables properly. I don't think the play was to open archers. I see the outpost being built, so I try to deny it. Having denied the outpost, I go for the archery ranges now. Seeing that I was in range of TC fire, I move my troop back a little bit and then re-engages just outside the TC range. My plan now was to go full production and try to get as much damage as I can. Having a look at the military count, I think at this point, even though I have way more military than he does, I can't effectively push right into his base and just dive completely. I will probably lose all my troop, and I'd probably be on the back foot if I do that. Given that he's got 2 TCs, if I dive and I lose my troop, he's gonna come out ahead, because he's gonna have better economy than I do to build up an army against mine later on. So one thing to keep in mind when playing Feudal aggro is that if you want to maintain the lead, maintain the pressure, you have to not lose your troop completely. You can lose a few in a fight, you can lose, you can trade with them. He has 5 units, you've got 20, you trade that, you wipe his army and you're good, right? And that's how you maintain pressure in Feudal Age, I believe. If you go Feudal pressure and you manage to lose all your troop, then you've kind of thrown away the lead that you were building. Because now you would be on even ground with them, right? If you throw away your troop at the start of the game, like let's say 20 units, you would now be on equal footing with your opponent who had went 2 TC and will outscale you in economy at one point. So if you were to learn anything from this video, don't throw away your troop unnecessarily. Don't just lose them, because you building those units in Feudal Age is what is giving you the advantage. If you lose them, you lose the advantage. And just as I said about not diving, I dived. I wanted to see how good these Sipahis are. Let's have a look really quickly. Sipahis, my god. With +1 range armor, they have 3 armor. They have 3 armor. That's the equivalent of a knight, a French knight in the Feudal Age. French knight gets the range armor upgrade to +4 at one point, so they have +1 into that and they have 4 range armor, which makes them quite strong and be able to dive TC. But base French knights without the +1 armor, so 3 armor, is actually quite okay to dive. It's not like as good, of course, as having more range armor later on in Castle Age, but 3 armor at Feudal Age at this stage in the game, that's pretty good. My Sipahis make a really deep dive here right into his base. I bought a Meter along with me as well. I switched it to range defense on so that I can dive the TC, the outpost, the outer TC and whatnot. Here I try to find as many kills as I can with my Sipahis. I find some kills here, and then I back out of his base. If you have a look, I managed to kill 11 villagers. And my troop before was on 28, so I've effectively lost 13 units. And let's think about this. He's got 2 TCs. I managed to kill 11 units, 11 villagers, but he's still ahead by 5 villagers. And I lost 13 military. Was this a good trade? Was this a good dive? And I'm still thinking about it. I don't know if that was worth. I slowed him down for sure. I idled his economy, I killed villagers, I managed to slow down his 2 TC, but I also lost a bunch of troop as well. And maybe if I had gathered more troop into a bigger mass, I could maybe do way more damage, like exponentially more damage than just having 28 units. If I had 40 or 50, maybe I could have ended the game right then and there. But you have to think that to get to 50 troop, you would have to build it for a while, and while you're building, your opponent just booms. I would like to make a note of something. Kashyyyk has 3 range armor as well, and 15 base attack, with 150 health. A Sipahi has 145 health, and 3 range armor as well. It's +2 right now because of the Meter that's giving them the boost. Wait a second. Are you telling me that having 1 Meter with +1 range armor is fucking 4? It's 4 range armor? That's the same as an upgraded French knight in Feudal Age. Wait, that's the Kashyyyk and the Sipahis. The Sipahis aren't even that much worse than the Kashyyyk. What? Huh? Wait, how much does Kashyyyk's cost? 240. Oh no, because they produce double. So 120 food and 80 gold. How much do Sipahis cost? 120 food and 40 wood. Are you seriously telling me that having met her, just one, with a bunch of Sipahis, costs less in gold than a Kashyyyk? And they move faster too! Excuse me? Okay, I have a headache right now. I straight up have a headache from these Sipahis. Here I test out my opponent a little bit. I wanted to see how many units he has and if he would respond with his entire troop. I see that he brings out his units, and given that I saw how many units he bought out, I assumed that he didn't have any more. I almost lose a scout that I was scouting out his base. I think it was a very good play from him that he chased away my scout, because then I can just keep looking into his base, right, and seeing what he's doing. So it's probably a good idea to always chase away your opponent's scout. Deny him vision, deny him the ability to see what you're doing. You want to be mindful of that. So when I poked my opponent earlier and I saw that he just bought out 4 units, I assumed that he didn't have anything else, because earlier on I already dived his base and he didn't have units to respawn. So in my mind I was thinking, there's no way he can build enough units to repel my attack. I go for siege engineering and I start building the rams. My macro at this point was basically full on food, full on wood, and just as insurance, I got 3 on gold in case I need to go castle age. I make a push here into his base. I send the rams in first so that I can bait out all his army, because I knew that he's gonna have a few units and I want them to come out. I see the unit coming out, attacking my rams, and I go straight in, seeing only 2 units. My priority was to destroy the outpost and get rid of his army. Can I just... Let's pause for a second here. Can I just say something? Have a look at this. Town center, 15 units in it shooting. Fortified outpost, 5 units shooting. And it's got an arrow slit. I'm not a fortified outpost with just 5 units, no arrow slit. 8 units in the town center. And somehow, my Sipahis are able to dive this. Oh, I don't understand. Is this what everyone's been going on about when they say Sipahis are really strong and it's the Ottomans' best unit? Because to me right now, it seems like it. My opponent makes a very good play here by targeting my archers, and I think at one point he does target the Meteor. So playing against Ottoman, getting rid of the Meteor is kind of important. Because these guys, if I lose them, then my Sipahis lose a lot of buffs. And that's like, how many? We have 16 Sipahis. If I lose this Meteor, it's huge, right? My entire troop gets downgraded on the spot. The rams aim for the outpost so that he can't garrison villagers, and also they're gonna go for military production buildings. I shift my Sipahis back and forth, trying to find as many villager kills as I can, and all the meanwhile I'm pumping troops from my base into his base. Pausing here real quick, I still have 15 Sipahis. They are low health from taking so much damage, but honestly, that's kind of okay. I just dived 2 TC that's fully garrisoned, 2 outposts that were also fully garrisoned, and somehow my Sipahis are still alive. I don't understand. How can Ottomans do this? And so my opponent taps out. What can we learn from today's game? Build military at some point if you're going full greed. If you're going 2 TC, into farm, into castle, at some point in between those steps, you should probably deviate from your full greed and go some military. Otherwise, you're just not going to get there. What you're doing is incredibly greedy, and someone can easily exploit that. Conserve your army if you are doing feudal aggro. While yes, you are aggressive and you need to find some damage because you have invested all these resources into building an army early on. But if you lose them, then the investment you've put in is not worth anymore. And your opponent that did something else, like 2 TC or fast castle, is now going to have the advantage. The strategy that you went with feudal aggro only works out if you can maintain your army. And that's it. See you next game.